welcome back to class. I'm glad to inform you that we just want to start profiling solution to past year's questions. One thing about students is that most of them know they have a clear understanding about what they are supposed to do in exam hall, but some of them don't have what the qualitative understanding. In a simple sense, that you fail an exam does not mean you don't know anything about it. It just happens as if that you don't know enough. So that is the major reason. Since we have concluded what the budget, there's a need for for me to put you through how to answer questions. So you can get more insight, more ideas and strategy on how to tackle examination questions and how to perform best. You can come out with the flying color. So some students know have a qualitative understanding about the particular subject, but when it comes to ask the question, they normally miss it. So that's why this class is organized for you. To increase your knowledge, to increase your understanding, and to give you tactics, some tactical way, some insight on how best to answer question in the examination or you find yourself. So I want you I need your audience, I need your determination. I want to listen to them so I can be able to do things that will shape your knowledge and increase your understanding as far as economics is concerned. Now we're tackling the question under what was 2018 economics objective test. So I want to listen attentively and let's read the question together and let's answer the question together so your knowledge of what can be increased and enhanced in a positive way. Now, question number first says, according to the year, that is was June 2018, objective test says economics problems arise in all society because dash. I repeat the question again for sake of emphasis. So economic problems arises in all societies because dash. Option A, resources are mismanaged by leaders. Option B, there is no proper planning. Option C, resources are not in adequate supply. Option D, the services of economists are not employed. Now, you must know that when we are talking about the objective test, it's a very complex question to answer because all the options may be suggesting answer. But you have to listen to yourself, make sure that you are able to interpret the question. Your ability to interpret the question will make it easier for you to answer the question right and answer it sensibly. So we know that human needs are numerous. Human needs are insatiable. So the questions over can make us understand that human needs are not supplying in the desired quantity. So the best way we can find out option C, which says that resources are not in adequate supply. They are not in sufficient supply. They are not supplying in the desired quantity. So the best option is option C. Understood? Let's move forward. Question number next. And next question now says, which of the following is not emphasized in a production possibility curve? So your grant understanding on the topic production possibility curve or production entirely will make it easier for you to be able to answer this kind of question. So option A say scarcity of resources, option B say economic development, option C say inefficiencies in the use of resources, option D say unemployment of labor. Now production possibility curves does not have anything to do with economic development. So the best one you can find also option B. Because see which of them is not emphasized. It's not illustrated in production possibility curve. Economic development is the answer. Question number next. And next question says the organization. The next question says the organization of productive factors is the responsibility of the dash. Option A, management. Option B, entrepreneur. Option C, production manager. Option C, labor union. Now you don't have to be confused with this kind of question. When we're talking about productive factors, we are only talking about the production factors, which they are for land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. And we're talking about entrepreneur. Another name for entrepreneur can refer to as organization. Because organization, entrepreneur are the one that take risks. They are risk taker, and their reward is profit. So organization also take risks in engaging kind of productions. So the best one we can refer to is option B. That is the answer. As the organization of factors of production is responsible for the responsibility of the word entrepreneur in taking risks, calculated risks, result-oriented with the risk actually yield return, positive return to the organization or to the entrepreneur himself. Question number next. And the next question says, producers operating in a free market economy are more efficient as a result of dash. Option A, the existence of competitions. Option B, the very few number of participants. Option C, the commitment of the shareholders. Option D, government regulation of their activities. Now, when we're talking about free market economies, yes, when we're talking about economic system, we have two major systems in the economic system. We have free market economy. Also we have socialism, and we have mixed economy. So when I talk about free market economy, we're talking about what capitalism. So capitalism are what they are not many, they are just few in numbers. So producers operating within a free market economy are more efficient as a result of what, because they are few. So the best way you can provide also option B. Question number next. I believe you understand that. Now next question say in a pie chart, the population of a city is represented by what? A sector 45 degree. If the country has a population of 10 million people, then the city population is dash. Now, you are going to make the aid of your calculator, to use your calculator in order to get the right answer. But one thing I want you to know as guys kind of question, you must know that this question is talking about what the basic tools that we use to solve the economic problems. When I talk about the basic tool, we are talking about what the pie chart, we are talking about the graph, we are talking about the histogram, we are talking about the, just name it, pie chart, histogram, pie chart, graph itself. So they are the basic tools that we use to solve economic problems. So we also use what the percentage. When it comes to percentage, we use percentage what in pie charts. And when we're dealing with percentage, you know the percentage deal with what, with hundreds. Right, when I talk about degree deal with what, 360 degree. So we are going to use the degree to divide by the 10 by the what, 10 million by the population, and multiply by the 360 and get your answer. So the answer so far can be referred to as what, 0. Let's use our calculator. Let me use our calculator. This is 45 degree divided by what, by 10 times 360 and say 1.6 million. So the answer is what? When you do like this, just take it like this. Let's say 45 degree, right? All over 10 multiplied by what, by 360 all over 1. We're going to get what? We're going to get 1.620. So you don't have to write it like that. You just have to approximate it to mean like this 1.6. So the best answer is option what? Option D. And let's go to the next question. Question next. And it says a download sloping demand curve means that dash. Option A, total revenue decline as well as price is lowered. Option B, demand fall as output rises. Option D, demand fall as output falls. Option D, price must be lower to sell more. Now, in this kind of question, you must know that what the law of demand has already was set in. The law of demand, the law of demand set in. That is what the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Now telling us that as well as a downward sloping demand curve means that demand fall as well as output rises. So when there is surplus, what the price will surely fall. The best option is option B. Question number next. And next question now says, if the price of commodity X rises and consumer shifts towards to commodity Y, then commodity X and Y are dash. Option A, substitute. Option B, complement. Option C, inferior. Option C, both together. Now, when we have 4 major types of demands, talking about joint demand, composite demand, derived demand, and what substitute demands. So when I talk about substitute demand, we're talking about the demand for Milo or the demand for Bonvita. So when there is an increase in price of one commodity, you can only go for an alternative for the substitute for that product, which is the best answer I refer to as well. Option A, as what happened as the case of what commodity Y and commodity X. Are we together? Let's go forward. Question number next. Our next question say goods whose demand vary directly with money income are called dash. Option A, inferior goods. Option B, complementary goods. Option C, substitute goods. Option D, normal goods. Whose demand vary directly with money income are called what? Normal goods. Option D is our best answer. Question number next. Our next question says an exceptional demand curve can result from dash. Option A, increase in price of raw materials. Option B, increase in the size of the population. Option D, expectation of future price increase. Option D, change in taste of all consumer. Exceptional demand. Demand that is what? That is exception. And referred to as well expectation of future price, the word increase. Option C is our best answer. Question number next. And next one now say palm oil and what and palm kernel are in dash. Now all these kind of questions that they are just answering not quite long as well. As this question is progressing, when your advanced knowledge, your confident knowledge on the topic demand and supply will make it easier for you to be answering it sensibly. So the question says again, palm oil and what and palm kernel are in dash. Option A, joint supply. Option B, competitive demand. Option C, competitive supply. Option D, complementary supply. Now both palm kernel and what and palm oil, they are from the same source. So the best option I guess was option A, joint supply. Question number next. And next question say which of the following is true about what supply of land? Option A is higher in urban than rural areas. Option B varies with time. Option C rises with demand. Option D is fixed. And the best option so far that is most true about the option below can be referred to as option D. Land is what is fixed. Land is not very like labor. Land is fixed. Because a figure of nature. It's only the factor of production that is fixed. It remains the way it is. And that is how it remains forever. Question number next. Next question now say the backward bending supply curve of labor indicates dash. Option A, an abnormal supply situation. Option B, the law of supply. Option C, that labor supply and wages are directly related. Option D, that the elasticity of supply is uniform. So the best option can be referred to as what? Option C, that backward bending supply curve of labor indicates that labor supply and wages are directly related. Question number next. And next question answers a supply curve parallel to the x-axis indicates dash. Option A, fairly elastic supply. Option B, infinitely elastic supply. Option D, fairly inelastic supply. Option C, perfectly inelastic supply. Now you don't have to be confusing in this kind of question. As a student, we have in price determination. We have 5 types of of supply, elasticity supply, and also have 5 types of elasticity of demand. So in this sense, this question is talking about from the angle where I draw a diagram for you. Draw a diagram like this, right? This is your x-axis, and this is your y-axis. This is what is talking about the price. About price, this was talking about quantity, right? Quantity. So in this sense, you don't have to waste our time here. If you understand what I'm doing, this one is the axis. We are counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count this one from here as well. This one is quantity. So as the question indicates, say a supply curve parallel to the x-axis indicates dash. So that's how we draw it. We draw it this way. So if you grant knowledge on it, if you can recall, this is a typical example of what of elastic supply, infinitely elastic was supply. Right, it was x here. So if I that's what the best answer is option 1, option B, infinity. That's why it's parallel to what, to the x-axis, not upward to the what, to the y-axis, x-axis. When it's to the what, to the x-axis, we find it as what, zero elastic supply. So don't get it confused. Question number next now say, if the marginal utility of a commodity is equal to its price, then dash. Option A, the consumer is in equilibrium. Option B, more of the commodity can be consumed. Option C, total utility is also equal to its price. Option C, the market is not equal in equilibrium. Equilibrium means satisfaction, means equality. And the best answer can find the option what? Option C. Why? I will explain. Say, if the marginal utility of a commodity is equal to its price, then total utility is also equal to its price. Yes. When I talk about marginal utility, we are talking about additional utility, summation, addition, incremental. So when it also increases, also showing you what in the total utility will also what increase, also equal to what, to its price. So it's based on the option C. Question number next. And next question now says, a price floor is usually fixed. It's usually fixed, unchangeable, usually static. Mean the way it is. Now, option A, at the equilibrium and causes shortage. Option B, above the equilibrium and causes shortage. Option C, below the equilibrium and causes surpluses. Option D, above the equilibrium and causes surpluses. A price floor is usually what? Fixed. And it causes what? It causes shortage. So the best option is option what? Option B, above the equilibrium and causes what? Causes shortage. A floor price, a price floor. So option B is our best answer. Question number next. And next question now says, a market is in what? Is in equilibrium when dash. Option A, there is no government intervention. Option B, the demand is the same as what the supply. Option C, buyers and sellers are free to what? To sell more goods. Option D, there is no entry, free entry and one free exit. A market is at equilibrium. I see the question. Question demands what? Critical thinking, and we can be able to get the best answer as guys the question. So don't be confused with this kind of question. Just take your time and answer it sensibly. So the best option so far can be referred to as what? Option B. This market is what is equilibrium, is equal when demand is the same as supply. So don't forget that in our price determination calculation, we used to do one formula that we say quantity demanded equal to what? Quantity supply. Yeah, that is what this kind of question means. The markets are equilibrium, markets are what? Quality. Are we together? When demand is the same as what? As supply. Option B is our best answer. Question number next. And next question answers, a firm average cost decreases in the long run because of dash. Option A, increasing return to scales. Option B, diminishing average return. Option C, decreasing marginal return. Option D, decreasing average fixed cost in the long run. Don't forget that we have long run, we also have what? Short run. So in the long run, a firm experiences what? Decrease in the one marginal return as a result of average cost that decreases. So the best option what? Option C. Question number next. And next question now say, the larger a firm, the lower its cost of what? Of production. This statement explains the dash. Option A, law of diminishing returns. Option B, concept of economics of scale. Option C, law of comparative cost advantage. Option D, theory of division of labor. Now, there's another secret to enhancing what objective test question. Your ability to know the right answer will make it easier for you to interpret the question to the best of your knowledge, make it easier for you to answer the question appropriately. But you must also know what other option means. No, when you're talking about law of cooperative advantage, it means that when you have the ability to produce at a lower cost. I getting it. Which other country does not have such cooperative advantage, but not that notwithstanding. But what we are talking about when a firm is large, so that their cost of production will be low, they will try to minimize their cost of production and by maximizing profits. So the larger the firm, the more ability they have to reduce their production costs. So the best option of that law of diminishing returns. Option A is our best answer. Question number next. Now, the information given to us say use the word table below to answer both questions. Now, look at the quantity. Option A, quantity say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Total cost 20, 25, 28, 30, 38, 55, 92, and 135. Now, the total fees cost is dash. Total fees cost is dash. Now, for you to get your total cost, you must be able to know the formula that we use to get it. That's one of the secret we work in getting it. Are we together? So this is how it goes. So in getting total fees cost, total cost, the formula for it was variable cost plus variable cost. In getting total cost, the variable cost was what plus fixed cost. And fixed cost is the kind of cost that would remain unchanged. Can be referred to as what capital cost, which you use to initiate a business, to start a business. So you can see as from the diagram below, you can see 20 is 0. Don't have any quantity with it, which means that option C is our best answer. That is £20 or $20. Because total cost kind of cost is the summation of what both the variable cost and the fixed cost. Refer to what total fixed cost. Option C is our best answer. Question number next. Our next question says, at output level 5, the total variable cost is dash. Let's go and check that. Output level 5, level 1, 2, 3 to 5, we have total cost at 55. So the best answer is what? £55. So C. Now let's go there. Question number 9 is now say in the long run of a firm was shut down if average revenue is dash. In the long run, we have long run, short run, and sometimes in the long run, it's not favorable to the organization, because their cost will continue to be at the increase. So now the question now say in the long run, a firm must shut down if its average revenue is dash. Option A, greater than average costs. Option B, less than average variable costs. Option C, equal to the minimum average cost. Option D, equal to the average cost. Now, in the long run, talking about the theory of costs. So your conversant knowledge on the theory of costs make it easier for you to be able to answer this question. Theory of cost, talking about cost concepts. So we are made to understand that we have two major theories under it. We have the long run, we have the short run of a firm, in which most firms normally embark on the short run, because that is more favorable for them. But in the long run, they only focus on single attempts, one line of direction. So at the process, they normally experience less than average variable cost. Their cost is not profitable to them, so they have to shut down production. So the best option can be option B, less than average variable cost. Because the firm must shut down, they must stop production, which is making them to spend more as a result of overhead costs and other expenses. Question number next. And next question now say public limited liability companies are democratic in nature because dash. Option A, government appointees are members of the board. Option B, they are run by elected public officers. Option C, electoral principles are adopted in day-to-day management. Option C, shareholder elect the board of directors. Yes. In public limited liability companies, which is legally registered companies, are democratic in nature, because shareholder elect the board of their directors. As they are democratic, they are they listen to what the people say, they listen to the voice of the shareholder, because they are the bane of the business. Shareholder. Option D is our best answer. Question number next. Our next question answer: in the event of bankruptcy Owners of joint stock companies lose dash. When I talk about bankruptcy, we are talking about the winding up of a company, the closing down of what of a company as a result of what of liquidation or something similar to that. Maybe they are what out of what of a debt that they cannot pay. So they have to shut down the continued existence of that business. So they are not telling us any longer who's short or who loses or what do they lose. Do they lose both their property or is it what the money that they invested that they lose? Option A now says they are private properties. Option B, both companies and private assets. Option C, only the capital invested. Option D, only their dividend. At the long run, the only thing that they lost was their capital invested as a result of what joint stock companies. Option C is our best answer. They did not lose their private world property. They did not lose it. They only lose the money invested into that business. Question number next. And next question now say wholesaler play an important role in the distribution of goods and services because they dash. Option A are located very close to consumers. Option B finance both producers and retailers. Option C pass information from retailer to consumers. Option C sell in small unit to consumers. And we are talking about the channel of distributions or the stage of distribution, the process of distribution wholesale sets in. Wholesale the word it can be referred to as what intermediary. Wholesaler can be referred to as what intermediaries. There is between the retailer and the manufacturer, that is the producers. So they give relevant information to both retailers and both producers. They are the middlemen. They know what the consumer needs. They also know what the retailer wants, and they know how they maneuver the manufacturer to work into their terms. So because they finance both producers and retailers. Because wholesaler are the one that do business in that, but they buy in bulk. They have money, they have access money to transfer businesses. So the best option can be first option B. Question number next. And the next question now says, if workers at the school canteen cannot sell during the holiday, this is an example of dash. Option A, structural unemployment. Option B, fictional unemployment. Option C, seasonal unemployment. Option D, residual unemployment. Now your ability to know this kind of employment makes it easier for you to know these classes of unemployment, to know how they relate, to know how the functions in the economic of a nation or a society or an environment, make it easier for you to be able to answer the question appropriately. So when we're talking about as a result of holidays, that's then we got with seasons. So the best option can refer to as option C. Maybe as a result of strikes. So some people that are selling in school at the same time will not be able to sell because students are not coming to school. How will they sell? So we should justify the fact that they sell according to the seasons. So when I talk about social unemployment, social unemployment deal with the advancement of student technology that are being imported to a nation, which is enhance social unemployment of a nation. So the best one as kind of is titled or is framed can be referred to as option C, seasonal unemployment. Question number next. And the next question says positive checks as evidenced by Thomas Mathis can be prevented if dash. Option A, death rate is reduced. Option B, marriage is abolished. Option C, more hospitals are built. Option D, more restraint is adopted. Yes. More restraint need to be adopted. Positive check as evidenced by Thomas Mathis can be prevented. Can be controlled, can be influenced by moral restraint, where moral restraint is envisaged. Moral attitude. Right ethic, right or business ethic. Question option D is our best answer. Question number next. And next question says which of the following factor is not the reason for farmers' unstable incomes? Option A, dependence on too many crops. Option C, poor storage facilities. Option D, advanced weather condition. Option D, recession in the world economy. The recession in the world economy does not totally affect farmers, because there are some farmers that they just deal with subsistence farming structure, as if they cater for their own family alone, don't any need to sell to the market. So when I talk about poor storage facility, that they don't have the facilities, the equipment which will ensure the safety. Are you getting in the longevity, the durability of their product that are kept in the store? So we're talking about advanced weather, we're talking about unfavorable weather that is not conducive for farming activities. So the best option can be referred to as option A. Don't forget how the question is framed. Say which of the following factor is not a reason for farmer unstable income? Most farmers does not depend on too many crops, because most of them do not engage in the cultivation of too many crops. Most of them focus on cash crops, they don't focus on food crops alone. So the best farmer can be found as option A. Dependence on too many crops. They do not depend on too many crops. They depend on on the kind of crops they engage on. Maybe they focus on food crops, as I said earlier, or cash crops only. So it depends on their capacity. Question number next. And the next question answers, local firm can help in reducing unemployment in the country when dash. Local firm can help in reducing unemployment in the country when dash. Option A, land acquisition becomes centralized. Option B, income of substitute are reduced. Import of substitute are reduced. Option C, waste in the firm is eliminated. Option D, substitute to firm are decreased. Now you don't have to be confused with this kind of question. This kind of question is just talking about what? Infant industry. Infant industry. Are you getting it? And when we're talking about industry, we're talking about what? Infant industry, we're talking about newly established industries that are just growing. So they need to be protected with the regulation, with the policy laid down by the federal government, by making sure that export is promoted at the expense of import. So we have to import of a substitution are reduced. Let's reduce our importation of goods, consumable goods. Which can be can enhance the business activities of the local firms that are engaging in that similar goods. Option B is our best answer. Question number next. And next question answers, an industry is described as a group of firms. And don't get it twisted that there are a difference between industry and firm. Firm contain when I talk about the firm is a single unit. So don't get it wrong. While when I talk about industry is many units. That inside an industry we can bring out firms. That's why industry involves many units. It involves many units. So let's read the question again. An industry is described as a group of firms. Option A, that provide jobs for many people. Option B, which uses advanced technologies in production. Option C, which produces similar products. Option D, that provide job for few people. Now, best option is option C, which produce similar products, the same products, standardized products. Question number next. And next question answers, the largest component of national income in developing countries consists of dash. Option A, profits. Option B, profit and rent. Option C, rent. Option D, wages and one salary. Option B is our best answer, profit and rent. Question number next. And next question answers, a baker, listen attentively. This is going to be a very logical question. So you have to reason along with me so I can be able to get it. A baker bought flour and other ingredients for $250. Spend $52 on distribution. Sold the bread for $320. The value added by the baker is dash. Now let's do a thorough calculation here. Let's do that by the aid of our calculator. I'm using my calculator here, and I believe you two supposed to pick a calculator here and use it as well. So I'll be able to follow in the same direction. Now, £250, right? Plus £52. We get the addition of Addition of 302. And on the long run, let's assume that the cost of production is $250, right? $250. And they spent in distribution of distributing this good to his consumers, to his customers, spend $52 dollars. So the addition of it together give us $302 on distribution and cost of production. And on the long run, now sold the bread for the rate of $320. So the value added by the bakers can be determined, can be known or calculated by deducting the value such bakers get from the cost of production and cost of division. When you deduct everything together, you're going to get your answer. And let's do that in a given as 302. Since we have added the cost of production and the money spent on distribution together, which give us 302. Now deduct it or subtract it from the value again for the actual value is sold it minus $320. I get your final answer, and you get what? $18, which means the best option so far can be referred to as what? Option A give us what? $302. Option B give us $52. Option C give us $18. Option D give us $622. So the best option can be referred to as what? Option C. With the aid of your calculator, if you use it, is what you're going to get. Question number next. And the next question answers: in a country with large population of full-time housewives, national income dash option A will be composed of goods produced by what? By women. Option B, figures will be grossly overstated. Option C, statistics will be difficult to what to calculate. Option D, figures will be grossly understated. Yes. Say in a country, in a nation with large population of full-time housewives, national income dash full housewife. I'm talking about full housewife. I'm talking about the wife that they are not what they don't have what they are not generating incomes for themselves. It just depend on their what on their husband. They don't to be providing everything. They are just full housewife. They are not they don't have any medium which they are generating uh income. They don't have any medium that they see as well as an revenue which will be generating revenue for them. No, they depend on their husband. They are just full housewife. They are not working. They are just a liability to what to the husband. So in this sense, the option now given to us, option A say national income will be what will be grossly will be composed of goods produced by what? By women. They do not engage in any kind of production. Option B, figures will be what? Grossly overstated. Option C, statistics will be difficult to calculate. Option D, figures will be grossly understated. Figures of national income will be what? Grossly what? Understated, will be what? Will be low as a result of them that do not engage in any productive activities that can what? That can give them income. Question number next. Our next question answers demand pull inflation is likely to be caused by dash. Option A, an increase in the cost of factors inputs. Option B, increase in the income tax rate. Option C, increase in the bank lending rate. Option D, increasing largely budget deficit. Demand pull inflation. This is one of the type of inflation in which as a result of it, the consumer find it difficult to react to it. So when it comes, they don't have any option because they need that kind of goods urgently, and they cannot afford as a result of a price increase for them to come to the market, and as a result of a demand provision, they will go home without patronizing that good, without purchasing that kind of good. They don't have any option. That's why it's referred to as demand inflation. It push the consumer to purchase it because they don't have any options. And when the desirable is not available, the available become desirable. This is what the message of what demand inflation is saying. It's likely to cause by what an increase in the cost of what of factor of production. The increase in cost of production will also affect the increase that attached to what to a product. We increase the price automatically, and there's nothing the producer can do. They must increase the price, and there's nothing the consumer can do. They must buy it because they don't have any other options. Because you can't afford come to the market and going going home empty-handed. So the best answer can be option A, an increase in the cost of what factors of input, which automatically affect the price or ensure inflation, increase in price, continuous increase in price. Question number next, I believe you understand that. And next question answers: holding money to take care of contingencies is dash. Option A speculative motive. Option B, a transaction motive. Option C, a precaution motive. Option D, an expansionary motive. Now, in the concept of money, demand for it and supply for it, there's a major reason why we determine the reason for holding the money as an individual, as an household, or as government agencies. We hold money for three reasons. Talking about transactional motive for day-to-day needs, precautionary motive for unplanned events, unplanned circumstances, and speculative motive for future purposes. Now we're talking about contingency. Contingency refer to accidental motives, unplanned events, unprepared for it, but you also have to hold money for that reasons. So the best option can be option C. You don't need to waste our time here. Precautionary motive for incidental any activity that may just occur, whether you don't plan for it as a result of maybe you're just working in it, you just feel sick and you need to treat yourself medically. That kind of money can be money spent on it can be as well as a result of taking care of contingencies, unplanned events. Question number next, and the next question answers: if a housewife has meat and wants tomatoes, She must find someone who has tomatoes to give and wants meat. This consent is described as dash. Now, most of we just let me just say this like this we put you in your seat for you to sit up in your academic. When some students see a question like this, they don't try to want to read it to the end, they just jump to want to answers. So since they have seen an exchange here, they may just turn it to what to barter system, which means the medium of exchanging goods and services without money, without legal tender. So that kind of question is entirely different from this. So this kind of question I'm talking about the elements, coming from the angle of what of the elements of what of economics. You can see the option below. Now this concept focus on what concept of economics. Option A, scale of preference. Option B, opportunity costs. Option C, complementary demand. Option D, double coexistence of wants. Now, when I talk about the concept of economics, we have what opportunity costs, we have choice, we have want, we have need, we have scale of preferences, and the like. So the best option so far can be referred to as what double coincidence of what of needs. In a sense, a housewife want to what has meat and want tomatoes. So you must do an exchange. You must find someone who has tomato to give and want meat. This is also a result of what double coincidence of what of wants. Option D is our best answer. Because some instance it may be the person you may meet first may be in demand of Gary, or maybe in demand of other commodity that's totally different from the kind of good you want to exchange with. Therefore, I cannot term that as what as double coincidence of what of needs. Question number next now says, the stock exchange is an example of the dash stock exchange. Option A, labor markets. Option B, money markets. Option C, commodity markets. Option D, capital market. Stock exchange, where we exchange money, also can be referred to as where we exchange money between one another in the markets. So can be referred to as what option D, that is capital market. Capital market in the simple sense can be referred to as a type of market which provides the provision for loans for medium term and long terms. So exchange can be made at the end of the day. The best option can be referred to as option D. Question number next now says, what happens when the central bank increases the bank rate in an economy? Listen, what happens when the central bank increases the bank rate in an economy? When I talk about the central bank, we mean the apex bank of what of our nation. Is the highest bank of our nation. Is the bankers to the commercial banks, bankers to the government. When the government want to borrow from the international level, they make use of what of the central bank to do that. So central bank can be referred to as the highest bank of what of our nation, central bank of all of Nigeria. So when they want to increase the bank rates, and when they increase the bank rate, what happens that it will discourage it will not give people the motivation, the enticement, the eagerness to borrow, as a result of the interest rates. So option A, borrowing is discouraged. Option B, customer increase their borrowing. Option C, banks can increase their lending. Option D, money supply increase. And option A is our best answer. Yes, I believe you understand it. Imagine an instance, federal government they give loans. They give loans at the rate of what 9%. 9%, right? And the entire season that I want to borrow, they see it as very good percentage. But when bank want to use it soon, the financial bank now engage in increasing it to 27%. To 27%. Can you see there is a problem in the interest rates? This will discourage other people from not borrowing because of the rates. They will be thinking, how much profit am I going to make? Can I cope with this kind of finance? I cannot cope with this, so it's good for me not to even borrow at all. And this is the major reason. This is a major index. This rate index. This rate is a major index discouraging people from borrowing. So if the government can do something about that, we want to help us and help our economy. So the best option can be option A. Borrowing is highly discouraged as a result of the rates, bank rates. That is what I charge. Question number next now says, Income is redistributed when the rich are progressively taxed and dashed. Option A, more private schools are established. Option B, subsidy is provided on petroleum products. Option C, more public goods are provided. Option C, farmers are given guarantee prices. Now, option C is the best answer. Why? Oh, for now, we have explained. No, we are talking about what the society at large. We are talking about the public. When I'm talking about social amenities are the kind of good that when they provide it, when they make provision of it, all the public can use it anytime, any day that they want it at their own satisfaction. Which means the income is redistributed when the rich are progressively taxed and more public goods are provided. So option C is our best answer. Question number next. And next question answers, in order to increase revenue, government should tax commodity for which demand is dash. Option A, perfectly price inelastic. Option B, price inelastic. Option C, price elastic. Option D, unitary elastic. This is a complex question. You have to read the question again. In order to what? To increase revenue. The revenue is the money that is entering for the government, like in form of taxation. Government should tax commodity for which demand is dash. Perfectly price inelastic. Perfectly price inelastic. When I'm talking about perfectly price inelastic, it's talking about when it is below 1, less than 1. Price inelastic. Price elastic when it is what? More than 1. Unitary elastic when it is what? 1. It's not greater than 1, it's not less than 1 when it is 1. So the best one we can find was option D, unitary or unity elastic. Question number next now says, which of the following activities will not lead to economic growth? Option A, massive importation of capital goods. Option B, intensive capital formation locally. Option C, use of modern technology. Option D, massive importation of consumer goods. See, which of the following activities will not lead to economic growth? Massive importation of consumer goods. Yes. Yes. Because when we're talking about economic goods, we are talking about what an increase in one per capita income of our nation. So when we want to increase the per capita income of our nation, we must focusly engage in what? In our GDP, as a gross domestic product, not about what importation of goods, consumer goods. This will affect our economic growth badly. So the best option that we should know is option D, which massive importation of consumer goods is not contributing to what economic growth at all. It's affecting it. Cannot lead to what economic growth, cannot make an economic growth to be a reality. If we want to ensure economic growth, we must increase the pace of our exports than that of the importation. Let our export be more than our imports. Yes. Option D is our best answer. Question number next. And next question now says, the poorer the country, the larger the percentage of labor force engaged in. That is, the poorer the country, how primitive they are, how poor they are, the larger the percentage of what labor force engaged in. Option A, agriculture, engage in agriculture. Option B, mining. Option C, trading. Option D, manufacturing. When they are poor, they will not engage in what? In mining. When they are poor, they will not engage in trading. When they are poor, they will not engage in manufacturing. They will only engage in what? In agriculture, which are what our sole aim of what? Of feeding. This is what our forefathers have taught us how to do as well as a nation. And we have a conducive environment for what for agricultural products. Talking about food crops, grass crops, just name it. It's only in Nigeria that we just keep an onions in the kitchen, and that onions will continue germinating for the fact that you have not used it. Which means we have a congenial environment, a suitable climate for what agricultural products, both cash crop and what food crops. Now, question number next. Next question now says, which of the following measures can be adopted to stabilize the external value of the local currency? Option A, reduce the volume of export. Option B, increase the demand for import. Option C, increase domestic money supply. Option D, reduce the demand for import. In public finance, there's what we call automatic stabilizer. When we want to talk about the automatic stabilizer, Automatic stabilizer. It simply means trying to maintain a balance between demand for import and demand for exports. Just to maintain a balance between import and export of a nation. So which of the following measure can be adopted to stabilize the external value of local currency, to make our local currency to have more value? Our local currency is just dying every day. The naira is dying every day. What is the way forward? Let's increase our exportation than that of imports. Let's have a say in international market. When you have a say in national market, we can recognize the international market. Our currency world, we have values. So the best option can refer to as option D. As we reduce the demand for imports. Question number next. And next question has say, which of the following is not a measure for reducing balance of payment deficit? Option A, export drive. Option B, reduce tariff. Reducing tariffs. Option C, adding value to export goods. Option D, increasing local production. The question says again, which of the following is not a measure for reducing the balance of payment deficit? Reducing the balance of payment deficit. Option A, export drive. Option B, reducing tariffs. Option D, adding value to export goods. Option B, increasing local production. Balance of payment. Which of the following is not a measure for reducing balance of payment deficit? Increasing local production. Export drives. Which of the following is not a measure for reducing local balance of payments? Payment deficit. Balance of payment surplus. Type of balance of payment, temporary balance of payment deficit, temporary balance of payment surplus. So adding value to the export goods. Add more value to it. Question number next. Option C is the best answer. Next question now says, nations engage in external trade because of differences in dash. When we talk about external trade, we are talking about foreign trade. And that name for foreign trade can be referred to as international trade. So don't get confused. Some people will get confused with what is external trade. External trade means international trade. Now, option A is a comparative advantage, comparative cost. Option B, absolute cost. Option C, fixed cost. Option D, variable cost. The question says again, nations engage in external trade because of differences in comparative costs. That is, these are kind of comparative cost state the fact. Comparative cost theory formulated by an economist, which makes us to understand that there is some production in which some countries are not endowed to produce it. When they produce it, they engage in producing at maximum cost instead of to be minimizing their costs. So the best option is option A. Question number next. And next question says, one of the advantage of international trade is that option A, prices of goods become stable. Option B, countries become self-sufficient. Option C, goods consumed are produced at a very high cost. Option D, it makes possible the consumption of varieties is the spice of life. And this gives room for international trade or external trade or foreign trade to set in. That is one of the it make possible the consumption of varieties of goods by nations. Option D is our best answer. Question number next. And next question says, which of the following forms of economic integration is a members nation free to impose duty against non-members? Option A, custom unions. Option B, free trade area. Option C, common market. Option D, economic community. Economic community is our best answer. Question number next. And next question says, the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD, perform the following functions except. I'm talking about the word IBRD. Another name for it can be referred to as World Bank. World Bank. They have a lot of functions. They have a lot of. They are playing the role to the growth and economic foundation. They borrow, they give loans, grant, and the likes. They incorporate the right knowledge to the entire world. In their conferences, national conferences. Option A, granting long-term loans. Yes, but don't forget the currency except. Option B, assisting with what technical expertise. Option C, reducing tariff avoidment bars. Option D, developing human resources. Now, option C is the best answer. Option developing human resources. Question number next. And next question now says, an electrical engineer who is teaching physics in a secondary school is said to be detached. Option A, underemployed. Option B, unemployed. Option C, full employed. Option D, technically unemployed. Uh, there's a mistake here. C is the answer. The development resources via what the international conference I said earlier, I just made a mistake. C is the answer there. They reduce tariffs among members. Among members. And question number next now says, an electrical engineering who is teaching physics in a secondary school is said to be a dash. Option A, underemployed. Option B, unemployed. Option C, full employed. Option D, technologically unemployed. So the best option so far can be referred to as what? Unemployed. An electrical engineer who is teaching physics in the secondary school is said to be what? Unemployed. Teaching physics is employed now. Teaching physics is employed. Full employed. Unemployed. Teaching physics in the secondary school is fully employed. Underemployed. It's fully employed. Question number next. And next one now says, one benefit a country can derive from the extraction of crude oil is increase in dash. Option A, population, employment, money, demand for imports. And best option is what? Money. Because they sell the word in the international market, you generate money from it. Question number next now says, which of the following cannot be what be satisfied as a natural resources, cannot be classified as what as natural resources, cannot be seen as what natural resources? Option A, iron rods. Option B, wildlife. Option C, solar energy. Option D, gold. Option B is the best answer. Wildlife. Now, journey so far, we have come to the end. Provide solution to the objective test of the question of the year was June 2018 economics. Thank you for listening. Thank you for attentiveness. Thank you for eagerness to learn. I know that some virtues are being released onto you for you to know more. There is no limitation to what you need to know. You can begin to know more. You can explore more. Remember, leaders are what are leaders. The more you read, the more you know. So read for you to become what a leader. Thank you for listening. I wish you nothing but success also in your academic performance. You are blessed.